Well, good everybody. So it's Saturday weekend, middle of the weekend, and it's the 11th of the 11th, Armistice Day, end of Armistice on end of World War One, and we're still having challenges. Crazy, eh? Anyway, we're all very lucky to be out doing the things we do, and also today five little Class Globe 580 set off from Lagos to Lanzarote, bit of a qualifier for the Globe 580 Transat. So a race across the Atlantic with our little Class Globe yachts. I say I won across a couple of years ago, won the seniors division. I was the only one in it, but anyway, 28 days, 3,000 miles across the Atlantic in little plywood home-built minis ready to go around the world in the MGR. So that's why I'm wearing this shirt. That's the mini Globe race, which will start in about a year or so. Around the world in 19-foot yachts, pretty cool. So cold, wet, and windy in Les Sables d'Olonne. Very much the name of the game here. Completely different than Cape Town. I'm just watching my signal. My signal's dropping off. Explorer looks like she's leaving on Monday now, Monday afternoon. They were trying to get away on Sunday, but just got the word that there's a few little hangover issues, and it'll be Monday now, and they'll be happy to get on the road. So straight into the tracker, there's a bit of action coming. There's some heavy weather coming, and we've been issuing weather alerts to pretty much everyone on the fleet, and that's kind of interesting as well. I just got a message coming in here. Just about one of the boats, which I'll tell you about later on. We've got another boat diverting back to Cape Town. So not Cape Town, Port Elizabeth, but I'll tell you that when we do the questions at the end. And so we'll, there's another one on its way. So back to the tracker. We've got Sterner. So here's this bit of a low pressure system forming below the fleet down here, but it's creating some quite solid southwesterly winds. There's no northwesterly front, but there is definitely a fair bit of breeze there. At the moment, Sterner would be getting probably 30, just a bit over 30 knots, gusting up to 40, 45, and about 4 to 5 meter seas. So you'll probably see them push again in a minute. But anyway, it's nothing that you wouldn't expect in the Southern Ocean, but it's certainly boisterous, and they'll be managing that quite well. They're doing 9.5 knots, which is pretty quick. 180 mile a day, they'd be happy with that, and they're hanging in there with the fleet. Actually, it's I might as well say it's Sterner that's actually got a little issue on board, and they've decided to alter course back to Port Elizabeth to sort that out. Anyway, I'll explain the whole story at the end. There's certainly no concern. It's a scheduled change in their navigation plan. They called us and told us what was going on, and I'll tell you a bit more towards the end. So they'll be riding that quite comfortably north up to Port Elizabeth. Neptune, however, this is kind of interesting. They're doing 8.1 knots, making the most of it. They're heading down in a southeasterly direction, and they did a 158 nautical mile days. But when we're up here last night, we gave them a weather suggestion again early this morning that they probably shouldn't go under 37 degrees south latitude. They're currently at 38 degrees south. When we gave them the message, they were up here somewhere, and I suggested that they should head straight out to the east and hold and let this weather go underneath them. Now, in reality, you'll see in a minute, the weather's going to come up to meet them, and it'll be quite sólid. It'll be gusting up in the 50s, 5 meter seas. It's going to pass through pretty quick, but nonetheless, they're heading down straight into it when they could have. And then we're assuming they got the messages. We sent it on SMS and we sent it on YB3, and so they would have no doubt got it on SMS, but they may have decided to keep coming. So, as I say, at the moment, 158 nautical mile a day, 8.1 knot. That's pretty cool. So let's just look at what's going to happen. We sent them another update just to warn them a few hours ago of the approximate time. There we go there. I mean, you can see how quick it's moving. So that's at 19:30 UTC, and then at 22:30. So that's 3 hours later. It's starting to come through. And that's approximately when we advise them. This will be gusting 50 knots in the end. Forecast wind is sort of up to 35 knots, gusting 40 to 50 knots with about a 5 meter sea again. And you can see here Sterner's going to cop a bit of that as well. So So, but it's moving very fast. So we go another 3 hours and it's straight across the top. This is where the big winds are. This is where there's the 50 knots. Prior to that, it'll be 40. It's from the southwest. You'll probably see them pay off a bit when they get involved with this. So another 5-6 hours, they're going to be down here somewhere. In fact, let's just see where they'll be, about 60 miles. Yeah, they're going to be right here. They're going to be right in the thick of it. So that's, but fortunately, as I say, it moves across very quickly. That's one more bit. So by 4:30 UTC in the morning, maybe 7:30, it's finally gone. So they're going to have a busy night. And as I say, you'll see them, I'm sure you'll see them run off before it. And that's, that's typical Southern Ocean stuff. Not huge. It's really fast. The maximum sea state is projected to be about 5 meters. It's building slowly, and they should be more than capable of handling that. So we'll come down to the what was the middle section of the fleet. Again, we sent White Shadow a forecast, positions of the lows and a projection that they really should get. And we gave this forecast when they're about here somewhere. We said get below 40 degrees south and 34 degrees east down here. So it's to be below 40 degrees south and in this area if they could. They just kept going up, and we sent them another one and said, hey, did you get our message? And I think they then finally looked or whatever it is, and there could have been some confusion there on some bits, but as soon as they realised what's coming, because I gave them a forecast based on that trajectory, and you can see what's going to happen here. If I push this through on that trajectory, they were going up into the middle of it. You can see there. So they were coming up here, and we couldn't work out why they were doing that. So then we checked again, and all of a sudden they said, oh, bingo, rightio. So they've come, boom, boom, they're coming down. And this is in about 10 hours' time, I think it is. What have we got here? We got the 11th, 1930. So that's about 12 hours. So in 12 hours, they should be down here somewhere, and they might just miss the worst of it. So that's kind of good. Then you have the issue here of the sea state, because you can see as it's coming through, if you pick a stationary spot, say underneath White Shadow, they'll probably be in an area about here. You can see you've got a northwesterly wind, and the sea will be starting to build at that. And then as this comes across, the wind direction changes pretty radically from northwest to southwest, and then it'll start to build again. If I go another 3 hours, you can see it's coming around to the southeast, and you can get a very confused sea. So by then they'll be in this area here. It won't be too big. The winds will be, maybe 30, 40 knots, and the sea state, 4 meters, but it'll be potentially quite confusing. Normally this is an area where you don't want to be when you get this sort of quick rotation of the low pressure system as it's moving. So anyway, we're yet to see how that pans out, but they certainly know what's coming. We've given them plenty of information. And then for Triana and all the rest of them, they'll be up here facing headwinds at that stage, because this is now nearly 24 hours ahead. So they'll be over here somewhere with headwinds, but they should miss the majority of it. There's the whole little gaggle there. Galliano was secure. I'm not sure why they went up, but they have, doing 5.4 knots. I'll come back to real-time weather now. This is what they're getting at the moment. Not much breeze, just to keep going, so it's hard to get out of the way. Evrika, 5.9 knots at the moment. Triana doing 6.4 knots, still okay. And Outlaws heading way down, 6.3 knots. And they did a reasonable 184 in the last 24 hours. So now these are the ones that are going to be impacted a bit. The Esprit de Kip, she was up above 40, and we reconfirmed they got it. Apparently they did, so they've come down a little bit, and making reasonable time as well, 10 knots. So the further they get to the east, the less impact they'll have from this little system that comes through. So again, I'll just click it through. This is about every 3 hours. That's 4:30 in the morning, tomorrow morning. And then it goes through till where we are now, about 24 hours time. In 24 hours, these guys will be probably about, they'll be maybe nearly I reckon they'll do 100 miles maybe. So all of these boats here will be projected that much further forward over here, somewhere there. The Esprit de Kip should be over here somewhere, running out of breeze. And then you can see the wind's going to rotate around this 40th parallel here of latitude. So if we get rid of that, you'll see why it pays to be down the bottom. And you can see all the way along, you've got a southerly here, but that's okay. And the speed of keep misses the big winds, and it's just got a solid southerly coming up. And so they've dodged the bullet, you might say. But we've still got a busy night ahead for most of them. All the others up the front here, they've cleared out, so they have virtually no impact. So when Maiden called the other day, we actually did give them a non-weather alert this morning, just to let them know they were in the clear. About 6 o'clock this morning, we sent the leaders, a group of 4 here, a weather alert, giving them the positions of the low as it's moving each day, and basically saying no weather alert from us because they've missed a lot. So it's an advantage of being clear. They cleared out. And how fast did they clear out? Penduic is absolutely flying, 11.6 knots, 254-mile day, which is pretty impressive, pulling away from the others. So translated, 7.4 knots, 215-mile day. Spirit of Helsinki, 207-mile day, 8.7 knots at the moment. And Maiden trucking along, keeping up with the best of them, 229 nautical mile a day. That's really flying. And 8 knots at the moment. So they're all happy to be clear of that weather, really pulling away a little bit from this mid fleet. Now they've got legs, and these guys are going to stall a bit because there's reasonably calm weather ahead of the blow. So just to pan back to look at the big picture of the Southern Ocean, and again, there's been a bit of breeze down here, but it's all pretty benign. There's not... I'm quite surprised. There's not a lot of systems out there, just these big systems, So that's a couple of big highs pushing things around a bit, squashed up here, and a little low dropped in down here. So all very interesting. So if I think they're seeing anything spectacular happening with the weather that needs a tracker update, I'll just drop one in. So at the moment, we're just holding the regular 9 o'clock trackers. But if I see something that looks impressive, or I think we need to get the news out, I'll certainly just call I'll just come up and give you another tracker update. No problem at all. So Sterna's situation is that she had a small water ingress into the boat, about 1 or 2 litres an hour. And they're just a little bit not concerned about their current situation. They just would like to know more before they the Indian Southern Ocean. And so they've made a decision. They're going to cut their losses. They asked for permission to use their satellite phone to call their team manager, which we said, yes, that's okay. That in itself gets a penalty, but they're more or less discussing the fact that they think they will be out of the rankings for leg 2, because they will make it to shore and they will be looking to get some outside assistance. Anyway, for now, all they've done is they've made a satellite phone call, unscheduled, which is a breach, and they're headed, at this stage, they're bound for Port Elizabeth. That's all we really know. Their team have all been involved and informed, so pretty straightforward. Okay, some comments. I've only got 2. That's cool. Unless something went wrong. I see there's a few people there, but Kathleen, the Southern Ocean does show no mercy sometimes. Well, that's the idea of check. When Stern has seen something that doesn't seem right, they've got a little bit of water coming in, better find out what it is, and they need to go to port to do that. So hi from the Isle of Wight. Okay, I think that's enough for me, and I'll keep you updated, and we'll see how some of them come out the back end of this storm, or the bigger winds, rather. It's not a big storm, but bigger winds overnight, and we wish them well. We're thinking of them. For all those that are tucking up into nice, crisp, clean sheets, and that's what you think about when you're out there on watch. Hi, Clara from Punta Lest. Cool. All right. Thanks a lot, and we will see you tomorrow night. See you later.